Welcome back to the Fried Eggs podcast. We want to take it back to a very, very simple topic today, which
Ooh.
is what we would tell a friend starting IVF in 2026. Or my initial idea was like what we would tell ourselves if we were starting IVF in 2026. But I think it's also like what we would tell a friend or anyone who's listening who
Mm.
is jumping into IVF for the first time. Like, what are some of the things that we have learned and wish we would have known for ourselves?
I love it. Good
So yeah,
topic.
that's the topic.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because when we saw our last episode with Rosie, she talked about potentially starting IVF and you were giving
Yeah.
her some well wishes. And I was a little shocked by your I think you wanted it to be like Rosie, and I mean her name is Rosie. Yeah, I think you wanted it to be I think you wanted it to be like very supportive and positive, but it was interesting because my instinct was not to be like, "It's gonna be a great experience for you."
Right. Well, I clocked that too, listening back to it when she was like, I don't know if I should be excited or eager or,
Right. Yeah.
and I love that for her. I love that. And
She's
this
no
is not new to
stranger
her.
to it.
She's
Yeah.
no stranger to any sort of medical infertility relate like, this is not new to
Yeah.
her.
Right.
But it was an interesting choice of words because I feel like some people are excited, some people aren't.
Yeah. Well, I certainly got a lot of like, "Oh, that's so
That's
exciting.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
amazing." And I think that comes from a place where people are like, "Finally, you're gonna do something different," and like,
right.
maybe,
Or
or
just
like,
the assumption that it's gonna
"It's
work.
gonna
Like,
work." Yeah.
oh, you're basically soft launching your pregnancy by saying that you're doing IVF, you know?
Right, that because it's, like, guaranteed, right? That
Right.
means
Like
so, like,
100%,
yeah,
like,
in,
I
like,
actually
9
can
months,
just
you're gonna
tell
have a
you
baby. Like, I know
exactly.
when
I
it's
know
gonna be
exactly
due.
when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Then many years later so, okay, great intro to this
Great
topic.
intro.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just talking with, uh, a friend about this who is kind of in that limbo right now of they've been trying for multiple years, had a couple of losses, and
Mm.
the next steps, and I was thinking about my own journey and how IVF actually was exciting for me, or it was something that I was looking forward to before we actually started IVF and learned that it's not all it promises or all you think that it's going to be.
Right.
Um, but it was for me an exciting step because it meant action. It meant,
Yeah.
okay, we are being proactive. We have a team of doctors who aren't just looking at us and saying, well, we don't really know, come back in a few more months if you're still having problems. But it was like, nope, you're having problems. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to try. And so even
Yeah.
though you're not guaranteed success, it kind of feels like, well, at least you know that we're going to keep trying things until we get success. Like that's
Right.
kind of the mindset that you might have
Right.
going into it for the first time.
Yeah. I that I totally resonate with that. That's exactly how I went into it too.
Yeah.
That well, and for me, it was a little bit maybe it was slightly different in that, like, I originally went into IVF thinking this was planning ahead because not to, like, rehash all of this, but we were expecting we had had a loss. It had been a very traumatic, like, process to recover from that loss. I'm still not really even recovered from that miscarriage physically, meaning so, like,
Mm.
we kind of went into it thinking, like, "Let's put an insurance policy down
Yeah.
because this is probably gonna continue being really hard for me." But it was sort of like a relief, like, "Okay, I have a place to go to put some of that anxiety and that fear that this is not gonna work for us. I could put it there and I could know I could come back to it." And so, yeah, but it felt very hopeful, like, it was, like, very much
Hmm.
a solution, and you're right, like, it was great because it felt like that's action you can take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and frankly, I think it bears saying out loud that, like, sometimes it does just work for people, and that's
Hmm.
incredible. And so
Yeah.
I also wouldn't wanna, like we're a little jaded, I think, in our lived experience is informing this
Mhm.
episode, but also it could just work, and that hopefulness is something important to keep alive if that's what you're feeling,
Yeah,
right?
so that actually was gonna be kind of my last piece of advice, but maybe I'll put that maybe I'll put that piece first.
Okay.
Um, so my biggest piece of advice to somebody going into IVF would be to actually don't take anybody's advice.
Oh my
Like,
god.
don't listen to this. Don't listen to us. No.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
I was
smart.
thinking about this because it's exactly what you just said, where you're optimistic and maybe you're not. If you're not in that place, then maybe this advice isn't necessarily for you. But if you are feeling hopeful and optimistic and excited and like, oh, we're finally going to get the answers, we're finally going to do the testing, you know, I have an unexplained infertility diagnosis. So, like, and my doctors are anticipating that we're going to get a good number of eggs retrieved and everything should be kind of pretty straightforward as long as we just follow the protocol. Like, lean into that. Be excited about it. Be optimistic about it. Be hopeful. I don't think there's anything wrong with having that sort of approach going into IVF. Because
Every
everybody's gonna wanna tell you their horror stories. Everyone's gonna
Yes,
wanna tell you, like,
yes.
right? Like, it's making me think of
The
the
Reddit threads.
the Reddit threads, but also the parenting thing of,
Yep.
like, "Oh, you just wait," or "You just," like, they grow up so fast, or the things that you know, but it's like, I need to experience them for myself. Like, this is my journey. I need to go through the
Mhm.
steps and it's going to be specific to me. And like, it's the same thing with IVF. Like, everybody's going to have their opinion. Everybody's going to say, well, make sure your doctor looks
Yeah.
for this, or make sure you test for this, or this was my, when my retrieval failed, this is what was wrong with me. So maybe you should, and like, just take it with a grain of salt because it's your own
Mhm.
journey and your own body. And if you want to be excited and hopeful going into it, I think you should like claim that energy because once you get into it, if it doesn't go the way that you expected, like that is taken from you,
That's
you
so
know?
true. Yeah, and it's taken from a lot of us. I think that's really sage advice. It feels like if you can find a way to be open to hearing other people's experiences in a way that's like more like you're curious about it
Yeah,
versus like you're taking on that now you're taking on that experience because some of that is like lived experiences though they are lessons learned and there
totally.
is something to be gained from hearing somebody went through something or like a learning they had. Now you are sort of armed with that
That
institutional
knowledge.
sort of knowledge that now we can all like benefit from. But I love what you're saying is like you don't need to take on that identity and experience. And it reminds me of something I told a friend in the early days, some conversations I was having with some friends in the early days of our journey where
Mhm.
I had just had my miscarriage. A friend of mine was newly pregnant and very stressed about it. I remember saying to her, like, because I had shared a lot of my journey with her. And like, I remember distinctly this conversation where I said, like, my experience does not mean it's going to be your experience.
Mm, yeah,
She was very nervous that the same thing was going to happen to her. And I remember this conversation so vividly where, like, it made me almost take aback, like, maybe I shouldn't share everything that was going on with me while she's also in this vulnerable place of like, a new pregnancy. But I'll at the same time, like, best friends, right? Like, she's asking, we're talking. I also didn't wanna just hold back just because I assumed she couldn't handle it. So, I was sort of letting her lead this, but, she would ask but then she'd get really quiet and nervous, and so I remember this so
Mhm.
vividly, like, this doesn't mean it's gonna happen to you, you know? It was like
Mhm.
this really soft conversation. Anyway,
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
No, it makes total sense. I think it's just ultimately it just comes down to knowing yourself. Like, what is helpful
Mhm.
for you? Are you the kind of person who can take all of these stories in and all of these experiences in
Mhm.
and say, okay, I love that I've been able to learn from all of these people who have gone before me, but
Mhm.
also I'm remaining optimistic about the fact that most of the stories you're hearing are probably from people who have had a more challenging experience
Yeah.
because IVF works for a lot of people. And I mean, what's the number right now? It's like 1 point, I'm gonna just look it up.
I don't know number of
How
IVF
many
babies?
babies were born from IVF in the last decade? So, okay, from the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, the US IVF usage increases in 2023, over 95,000 babies. Okay, so in 2023, these are old years, but this is just to kind of give you a picture. In 2023, the number of babies born from IVF increased, rising from 91,771 in 2022 to 95,860 in the
Wow.
latest round of reporting. So,
Probably like
just
100,000 babies a year in the US
in the
alone are
US, right?
born
And
from IVF. So it works.
it works.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stories that you're hearing might be from people who have had a more challenging time. And so I think it's just
Mhm.
kind of knowing yourself of like, how do I want to approach this? Do I want to approach this as really cautious and really informed and prepared for like if something does go wrong, I already feel like I
Mhm.
know, oh, this protocol might work. Or would I rather just kind of, ignorance is bliss, go into this trusting the process? And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Mhm.
I guess that would lead to my second recommendation is to be okay if it doesn't work the first time. And this is such a hard lesson for me specifically because we were cash pay, and I think a lot of it came from the financial burden
Mhm.
more like, and I've said this on the podcast before, that if somebody would have said IVF is free, you can do multiple rounds, the stakes would not have been so high for that first egg retrieval. And so when it failed, it felt devastating for a lot of reasons, but it especially felt devastating because it all of a sudden became like we need more money in order to do more testing and to do more rounds. And this already cost so much. So it feels like we just flushed a bunch of money down the toilet. And so it can be really difficult to have that sort of optimism, like that approach of like, oh, the first round is diagnostic. If it's successful, amazing. That's wonderful. But if it's not successful, that doesn't mean it's not going to be in the future. It just
Mhm.
means that your doctors are learning. And unfortunately, if you are paying for IVF, then that's where it gets like really hard because it feels like, okay, great. Glad you guys are all learning why my body didn't work. I'm glad I had to pay for for a failed
Yeah.
round of IVF in order for that to
Yeah.
happen, you
Yeah.
know? Um, yeah.
Yeah. Such a good call out too that we heard this
Mhm.
from Dr. Notman's episode too, where she also acknowledged that IVF can be quite diagnostic, actually.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so you sort of are an N of one experiment during the process. Like, obviously, the industry, very specialized medicine, but every person is individual. So they have a playbook, right? But it has to adapt to who you are, to what is going on individually for you. And so it may not work the first time. And that may be like the starting point and how and what you learn and what your care team learns and how they may adjust your protocol and like, it could be part of the experimentation. I sort of would
Mhm.
maybe say like for me a big transition point for me was thinking about the process less like, you know, success and failure, like is this going to work? Is
Mm.
it going to fail? And more like are we learning every time? Like what are we learning? What are we
Yeah.
uncovering? And that little shift helped me handle some of the disappointment through the process, through the many procedures and surgeries and IVF cycles that if we are what are we uncovering? Are we uncovering something? Um, Even if like the end result isn't like a marked success. So I like that as like it may not work the first time. That doesn't mean it's not going to work ever.
Mm.
So keeping that in mind, I think that leads me to like I really, really hope for everybody it does work the first time. And this is short. But I guess in my lived experience, in your lived experience, like the road is longer than you think when you start.
Mm,
Because I think a lot of us do go in bright eyed. We see it as a solution. It's going to work. And so now I'm starting to count like, well, it's going to take me a month or two to do an egg retrieval. And then like maybe I'll like do a transfer in 3 months. And that means I'm going to be pregnant by the end of the year. And that means the baby's going to be due by whenever. And we
yeah.
do that. And that is totally a natural thing. I mean, I do it constantly, but I think I just want to like give you a little bit of a hug if you were my friend and say like hold that timeline loosely
Yeah.
and allow I don't know. I don't even know how to like give advice on that because like it's such like a
Mm,
human and I think it's like a very maternal thing to do. So I don't know what would you say on that front? Like I don't know how to frame it, but like
yeah. Yeah,
loosely held, expectations loosely held or something.
yeah, well, it's kind of the, like, hope for the best, plan for the worst sort of phrasing, right? Of,
Mm.
like well, and the other thing that I was thinking of is start sooner than you think, and,
Yes.
like, start IVF sooner or just start the conversations with your doctors sooner than you
Start
think you need to.
fertility conversations soon. ASAP. Now. Do it now.
Yeah, I guess so it's less, like, hope for the best, plan for the worst, but more so, like, hope that it's straightforward, but anticipate that there are going to be roadblocks or that you're going to need to pivot, whether that be scheduling things with your clinic or whether it be your body not responding to certain medications or whether it be issues with insurance coming through or hi, a cyst that decides to show up randomly and stay for 6 months.
Yep.
Like, anticipate that there will be moments that you need to pivot, and if not, amazing, that's great. We have friends who have literally gone in, done a retrieval, done a transfer the next cycle, and then had a baby 9 months later,
Yep.
but that might that might happen, hope that that happens, but
Mhm.
also you might go in and figure out like, "Oh, I thought I was doing an egg retrieval in February of this year, and actually I'm not gonna be doing an egg retrieval until September of this year because we need to do all of this other diagnostic or, like, prep sort of
Mhm.
procedures before we can get to that part."
Yeah. I like that packaged up into like expect that you'll need to pivot somewhere, somehow. I
Mhm.
like that
Yeah.
phrasing a lot, like pivot. Pivot doesn't mean give up. Pivot doesn't mean have no hope. Pivot doesn't mean fail. It just means adjust, shift,
Mhm.
pivot. Ross. Like-
It
oh,
makes me think of
we have to do a meme for that where it's like the pivot, but it's all the stuff that comes up during an infertility journey. Wait, we have to
what
do that.
why don't I know this reference?
What?
Ross?
Friends. It's because you only watch shows and
That is
scary
not true.
stuff.
I have seen most episodes of
Wait,
Friends.
you have not seen the pivot?
Ross
They're
pivot meme. I'm
moving.
sure.
Oh my God, Katie. They're moving the
Okay. Yes.
couch.
Yeah.
Pivot, pivot,
Yes.
pivot. It's so good.
Okay. Well, yes, I will make a meme. I
Okay.
need some fresh content for social. I've been feeling like I don't know what to create. So that's
Okay.
great.
That's a good one. So I want to, before we move on from paying for it, cash
Mhm.
pay, the
Mhm.
cost of it, I want to talk a little bit about that because I think we do not have great coverage in this country mm,
Any fertility
for fertility in
related?
general. For
Yeah.
like things outside of like your very cookie cutter, everything just works experience.
Mhm.
How do I say this? For
Yeah.
any kind of advanced anything in women's health care, we just generally there is not great coverage here. And so I do think some harsh advice would be prepare for that
Mhm.
and and prepare yourself that like conversations with insurance, conversations with your clinic, those things are going to be like, administrative stuff is going to be there,
And
and
it sucks.
it sucks. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
sucks. The amount of times I've had to, like, take a call in the middle of the workday and switch from, like, something important that I'm doing over here to, like, now negotiating with somebody over here. The tailspin it can throw you for when you go in, like your experience when you go in for this transfer and they're like, "Great, you have a balance due and we won't do the transfer until you do this like until you pay this balance."
Yeah.
Like sometimes your care is sort of held hostage to the financial aspect and that's really unfair, but I think that's a reality of the situation and so being prepared for that and
Mhm.
doing what you can to put things in place before you get to that point is probably helpful.
If there is ever a time to anticipate that something is gonna go wrong, anticipate that it is gonna be when you call the financial office or your insurance because, yeah, I had to start making a rule for myself of not making those calls during my lunch breaks or being like, "Oh, I just have, like, 15 minutes, let me call the insurance rep," because then I would be in this really negative headspace for the rest of the day, or it would just always turn into 10 more calls that I need to make. So, it would stress me out because I thought that I was gonna make this call and everything was gonna get figured out, only to find out that, no, I need to talk to this person who needs to talk to this person, and these people are not on the same page. And so,
Mhm.
if
It's
you
never
can,
15 minutes, like,
it's
it's
never
15 minutes
15
to, like, get to
minutes.
the right person in like, the phone tree, and then
Right.
maybe.
Yes. Yeah. So, if you have the luxury of being able to, like, chunk that out where it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go into the office for an hour and deal with all of these calls, or I'm gonna go sit in my car in the driveway with a cup of coffee and just plan to be here for the next hour on hold." What like,
Yeah.
try to figure out a way where it works for you. Don't try to, like, multitask and
Yeah.
call the
Well
billing department and
I think that's really good advice generally, like, billing department for sure, but also I think if you can set aside, like you said, like some protected space for that, where you aren't then expected to also be doing something else really important
Yeah.
or that takes any kind of emotional energy or emotional intelligence. I can't say the like number of meetings I had to like push back because I was still on the phone or because I like didn't have the emotional capacity because I just got news. You don't
Yeah.
always have the opportunity to do that, right? Like it's crazy, but if you work or really have any other responsibility in your life that you're dealing with, your doctor calls, you drop everything, you pick up the phone, right? Like
Mhm.
or you miss that call for the day and then you try to call back and they're busy and like you have no idea when you're going to get a hold of them. So, I think that that is just like a real true challenge of our medical system in general, the fact that, like, things are only open during work hours and people are probably working during
Yeah.
those work hours, so, yeah,
Totally.
it's maybe, like, a good flag where you can do it, it's a good pro tip, and also it's gonna happen to you where you're gonna get kind of flustered between things.
And also,
At
okay,
least
so
that
a
was
very,
my
like,
experience.
practical tip,
Yeah.
save the numbers in your phone. Save the number
Good
for
call.
insurance, save the number for your billing department, find out who works there and ask for them. Ask them, when is the best time to contact you? Or is there a certain time during the week where it's easier to get a hold of you? You know, with
Mhm.
insurance, like, it's a lot more difficult to get a hold of a person, or you're kind of at the whim of whenever you call. But with your clinic, like, ask them, like, when are your lunch break hours, or when do you get, like, the most calls? Because if you're always getting their voicemail and always having to wait for a call back, or, have these
Mhm.
conversations, I think that that can
Mhm.
help too.
A real
Yeah.
pro tip there is that most clinics I've found, I've only been to 3, but in all 3 clinics, the morning is their monitoring clinic time, and
Yes.
they're slammed. So, it's hard to get a hold of anybody between
Yeah, don't call at
the
9 a.m. on a
hours.
Monday.
Yeah, just don't. Just wait until after the lunch break is when they're doing, like, all their charting and all of their, like, admin stuff, so you're much more likely to get an answer then. Also, I would say keep notes somewhere. Like, I eventually
Mhm.
started just writing notes in a notebook every time I talk to anybody and, like,
Yeah.
date who I talk to, do I have a reference number? Um, yeah. So that was helpful. The other thing I was thinking of when we talked about the money piece, because this for me was, like, very intertwined. Obviously, the more specialized stuff you do, the more appointments you have, the more cycles, this and that, they cost more money, right? And so it's very intertwined with like this feeling that I had and still struggle with to this day because I'm like right in the middle. Do I try again? I'm like right in sort of this limbo phase of my journey, but it's very easy to get sort of swept up in the machine of
Mm.
it all, and for
Yeah.
me, it ended up being and I felt this too with, like, surgeries, had, like, a dozen surgeries, was like, "Well, let's just do another. Let's just do another. Let's just do another." And, like, you I think there's a lot that goes into that, like, you're sort of now riding the wave, you've got a lot of momentum. I certainly, like, felt like I'm already in this, so might as well see it through. There's a bit of sunk cost fallacy stuff that is going on in there. Like, I've already gone this far. Why not go a little further? And I think I would want to caution someone like that. That's like a very normal thing to probably feel. And
Yeah.
it doesn't always mean that you need to keep going immediately. Like, taking steps back is also okay. Reevaluating is also okay. And it's very easy to sort of get swept up. And so I kind of felt like the timeline pressure was so like visceral for me. So it just made me way more susceptible to like saying yes to the next thing or frankly searching out the next thing.
Mhm.
Certainly in some people's journeys, the timeline is so critical for sure. And then sometimes I think we put a lot of that pressure on ourselves or we kind of get dragged into that if you do it this month versus 2 months from now, it's not always like that big that's not gonna make a huge difference, or it's not gonna mean it's gonna fail, like, if you give yourself a month break. So I think that for me, that's, like, really wrapped up in the money too, because you're much more
Mhm.
likely to just like, "I've already spent this much, let's just spend a little bit more because we're already in it." So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point. I wanna I wanna give a piece of advice, but it has nothing to do with what you just said, and I wanna add on to what you just said, so I'm just gonna throw this in there, and it's gonna make no sense,
I
but
had to write it down so I didn't forget.
what I was gonna say is if you are cash pay, and I wanna have Henna come on to talk about this. Henna is a good friend of mine. She's super financial savvy and also has a travel Substack for women, and if you are cash pay and you know you're gonna be paying for something upfront, open a credit card with points, like, get a
Oh,
free trip out of it, because a
yeah.
lot of them, it's like, spend $5,000 in the first 90 days to get so many points that you can use for a flight, and a lot of times, if you're paying upfront for a retrieval or a transfer, you're gonna be spending that. So if you have that money in your bank account or you're using some sort of funds to pay for it, like, open the credit card, put it on the credit card, and then pay the credit card off so that you at least get like a vacation out of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's so good.
so we'll
Make
have
it work for you at least a little
make it
bit.
work for you.
Seriously.
But now going back to what you were saying, gosh,
Just like the
and
timeline, getting caught up in the
yes,
timeline
okay.
and like this feel like, sort of like now you're in a hamster wheel and it's like really hard to get off of it. And like honestly, for me, it felt like once I get off of it, is it all just gonna like fall apart? And that was my last chance.
The timeline pressure is so intense, and it's both the pressure that you feel, like what we were talking about at the beginning of thinking, okay, I'm starting IVF, so it's going to work and like we're going to have a baby by this time and this is, you start doing that sort of math again in your head. So there's that timeline
IVF math.
pressure, IVF math. Yeah.
There's girl
You go
math. No,
there's
there's
IVF math.
IVF
So if
math.
if I do a retrieval on this date and then a transfer on this date, then yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that pressure. But then there is also the external pressure that is going to come from your doctors. And they are well meaning.
Sure.
But there is, I think, a lot of pressure sometimes with the talk about age. And you're not getting any younger. We need to do a retrieval now because your eggs are only as young as they're ever going to be.
Yeah.
All of these like
Which are
feelings
true,
that
right?
which there is, yes, there is science and truth to this.
Mhm.
But like Amy was saying, taking a month or two off, pause, like taking pause, I don't think that that is ever harmful. Like if you are feeling like this is going too fast, I need a moment to breathe, and you are feeling pressured to make a decision or to like stay on the hamster wheel and be like, all right, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. I don't think that's good for anybody. Like I don't think it's good for your
Mhm.
body. It's not good for your wallet. It's not good for your mental health. I think it is okay to say, I'm going to take a month or two or a cycle or two off and then come back to this
Mhm.
because like that pressure, it's a lot and it can
Mhm.
become really overwhelming. And
Yeah.
it's hard to make I feel like it's hard to make decisions when you are feeling like that timeline pressure as well, because like you were saying, you're overwhelmed and you're stressed and you're broke and you're exhausted and you're hormonal because of all of the medications. And so
Mhm.
maybe this is like another point to bring up of like why it's important to have a team in place that is not just your medical team.
Yeah.
Having a therapist, having an acupuncturist, having friends and family who can kind of be the voice of reason or help you like talk through some of these decisions so that you
Mhm.
don't get so wrapped up in the stress of like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. Okay, what we need to do this now and spend this money now and try this now instead of
Yeah.
just like take a breath, take a minute. Like
Mhm.
yeah.
I love the call out of who is actually on your care team. It's not just your provider and your clinic, but can you like sort of like collect the right team of people?
Mm,
And it
mm,
doesn't have to be that many people, right? And like some of us don't a lot of us are not like yelling it to the rooftops that this is what we're going through when we're going through it, for sure. But do you have like one person you can tap and like, maybe even suggesting like, I need you to be on this journey with me, or can you like check in with me about it? Like
mm.
maybe even empowering people with like a role there. I remember during the real height of my yo-yo surgery, like my surgery roller coaster of like surgery, hormones, surgery, hormones. I remember specifically talking with Nima where like I could not support myself at that point. I was working, doing procedures and surgeries, and like that was it. And I was like, I need help. And he took on all the food situation. Like he was
Mhm.
cooking everything and bringing it to me. Like, here's your
Yeah.
lunch is in the fridge, honey. Because I just like couldn't seriously, like I could not
Yeah.
take care of myself
Take on
at that
another thing.
point.
Yeah.
So like anyway, that's just like a small example. For me, it was a big example, probably like one of the biggest helpful things that somebody could do for me at that time was like literally feed
Mhm.
me. So yeah, where can you tap people? I love that as a suggestion. Um, for sure.
Well, and also if you I we should note that, like, if you are feeling pressured by your medical team, and I know not everyone has the ability to pivot and
Pivot.
pick and choose with their pick and choose with their fertility care depending on where you live or what your insurance coverage is or
Sure.
finances, all of that. Um, but if you are working with a medical provider and they are making you feel pressured or you are not feeling listened to, like that is not the doctor for you because Amy and I
Yes.
have both had multiple doctors and multiple clinics and can attest there are like fertility doctors out there that are big cheerleaders. Like they are on your team. They want to help. Like they are there to answer your questions. They are there to listen to you and to encourage you to trust them as the professional, but also to trust your gut and to be a
Yeah.
part of the conversation and not just be like a number. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you're feeling like timeline pressure from a clinic to do multiple, like, back-to-back rounds in a certain amount of time, like, that I would say is a red flag.
Yeah, 1000%. You're making me think of, like, how hard it is to listen to your instincts when you're in this
Mhm.
because, you're like you're not a doctor, you don't know, but you do know yourself and you do know your
Yeah,
body, and we all can probably get better at understanding ourselves and respecting our feelings and not just being like pushovers or people pleasers or, shying away from our instincts. So, big
mhm,
encouragement to like if there's an inkling there, that might be a good sign to like pause and talk about it or
yeah,
really kind of dig into why you're feeling that unease because there's probably a good reason. And like this process is so wrapped up in our physical bodies, like it's also sort of like I don't know. I want to say like respecting your own body a little bit in this process is like also really important.
yeah,
I don't know how to frame that, but I just feel like maybe, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, like, you you are a person, and you're like, I understand that
Yeah.
we can feel really defeated and even angry at our bodies for not cooperating in the way that we want them to, or for having to, like, go through these procedures, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I think of, like, you gotta treat your body like a little, like, you gotta be kind to it, and sometimes your body is saying, "I'm tired. I'm
It's like a
tired, I don't want."
little baby bunny or something is what I think of.
Yeah,
Just
like,
like a
it
little
needs to
cuddle.
be it needs to be nurtured and cared for and advocated for, right? Like, and you are your own best advocate when it comes to your body and what feels right and what feels good and
Mhm.
what feels like, okay, we're pushing it, but it's like a good
I can do
push.
this.
I
Yeah.
can do this versus like this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And your body will let you know. Like it communicates to you. Like it'll let you know.
But yeah, I think what's really under that is that you feel like when I felt that, I also felt like if I stop now, I failed.
Mm,
But that's just like the bad self-talk, you know?
mhm.
So, checking
Well,
that,
and maybe
yeah.
just like embracing that as like you're probably going to feel that way.
Yeah.
Like I think we've all felt that way at some point. And
Yeah.
so anticipating like there are going to be those moments where you feel that sense of this failed or I don't know. I always have found it helpful like one of the things Anthony and I have been saying with postpartum when a day is just really, really awful. And by awful, I
Mhm.
mean like I'm hormonal or we're fighting a lot or we're both exhausted or
Yeah.
is we just like will end the day and just be like, well, that was a shitty day. Like, or like when
Mm.
he has like a really bad shift at the fire department, we just kind of catalog it and we're just like, yep, like we knew there are going to be days that are really, really awful. This was one of those days. Like, let's go to bed and tomorrow's a new day. And so I
Oh,
think
yeah.
sometimes like having that approach of like anticipating there are going to be moments in your IVF journey where you just need to cry and you just need to get into your car and you need to cry, or you're going to have somebody who's really mean to you, or you're going to have somebody cut you off in traffic, or you're going to
Yeah.
show up to pick up your prescriptions and they're not going to be filled yet. And like those moments are gonna happen, and just, like, when they happen, just be like, "Okay, this is one of those moments. Like, I'm gonna
Yep.
feel it. I'm gonna embrace
Ooh,
it."
I kinda like the idea of, like, you, like, should just expect, like, 100 bad moments, and then when they
Yeah,
happen, you're
this
just
is
like,
just
"Yep,
like,
okay."
pick.
Everybody's everyone is gonna have their version of this. I really like this, Katie, because I feel like then it's like, "This
It
isn't
doesn't feel
I'm
as
not
heavy.
and I'm not that special." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's not because of me that
It's
this
just, like,
is
part
happening.
of yeah,
This
it's part
is
of the
just
journey.
part of the game. You know what I mean? Like, you go play a game, you're gonna get roughed up a little bit, you're gonna get dirt
Yeah.
on your shoes, you're gonna get grass stains on your pants, whatever. Like, it's just part of the deal. I like
It's just
this
like,
because it
when
takes
is it gonna happen? Right, it's like
and
going
in
on a
what
hike and it's like,
form?
everyone's gonna get a blister, but are you gonna get it
Yes.
at mile 1 or mile 10 or yeah, like, it's just
Fucking love this idea. I really do, because I think for
yeah.
me, it's just like it takes the my own responsibility out of it. This is not because
Mhm,
I'm failing, I'm a bad person, I fucked up, I I. This is like,
mhm.
no, this is just part of the deal. You sign the deal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
therefore,
it's not
you'll get to the end of the deal one day. One way or another,
right.
you're gonna get to the end, you're gonna hit your number, you're gonna hit your quota,
Mhm.
and then you can make your next deal.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes it's, like, not
Play your
personal
next
anymore.
game. Yeah.
It's not like an attack against Amy and, like, the
Mhm.
IVF gods hate you and, like, you're gonna you know
Right,
what I
and,
mean?
like
It's just
and
like,
I and,
"Nope."
like, I deserve this, or, like, so, like, people say,
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
"You don't deserve this." I'm like, "Sure, no one deserves this. I think this is just part of the game."
It's just part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like that. This is, like this is my favorite thing that's come out of this.
The
I
whole
really
podcast
The
ever.
whole podcast ever. I'm just like, "Oh my god," I feel like I just had one of those aha moments in therapy,
Yeah.
where you're just like,
Mm. Those are the
"Oh."
best.
Yeah. Whew.
Love it.
Great Saturday morning conversation.
Great.
I have a couple, like, rapid fire ones,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
So, if you're gonna start IVF this year, what should you do? Or, like, what is my advice? So, rapid fire advice:
Okay.
shop your meds. Go shop your meds. There are coupons out
Okay.
there. Do you say coupons or coupons?
Coupons. Do people
Coupons.
say coupons?
When I said coupon, it felt weird, so I think I say coupon? Anyway, shop your meds.
Okay.
It's
Shop your
spelled
meds.
coupons. Shop your meds, because there are coupons. There are discounts. There are different pharmacies that can fill it at different rates. Your clinic might have specialty rates. Like, that's like a pro tip. You might save a couple $100
Mhm.
here and there. I think that's a big one. What else? Rapid fire ones.
I didn't do this for my last round of IVF, but I wanna do it for any future IVF that we do. Make your commute plan it in advance. Like, have your podcast or your playlist queued up.
Cute.
Have like, I feel like so many times it was, like, me rushing out the door to try to get and, like, being frustrated about traffic. Like,
Mhm.
map out your time in advance. Set your coffee cup out in advance or your tea or whatever you're drinking. Have your podcast queued up. No, like, map out, like, "Ooh, this is where I'm gonna go grab lunch afterwards." Like, make it, like, an experience and
Yeah.
something that is, like, I don't know, like, very, like, do all the self-care things that lead up. Like, have, like, the expensive eye masks that you're like, "Ooh, I get to wear these on monitoring appointment days, like, while I'm in the car."
Mm.
Make it special. Like, do anything that is gonna make it more exciting or more enjoyable. I mean, my commute often was over an hour one way at, like, 7
Yeah.
in the morning with traffic,
Wow.
and I would just be so stressed out and annoyed. But, yeah, if it kinda goes back to what we were just saying of, like, just anticipate that, like, this is just how it is. How can I make it better?
Yeah, and if you can, I love the idea of what are you doing for yourself after? Get
Mhm.
yourself a treat.
Always.
Big or small, always.
Mhm. I love it.
I'm like, what is it, Pavlov's dog? I'm like, "Okay, fertility appointment today? Alright, then I get a fancy
Yes.
latte."
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Uh
Okay, what other rapid fire do we have?
Try to stay organized, with meds. Have, like, a little station, like,
Yes.
for like, set up an area. I think one of the biggest things is, like, it's gonna be really scary doing shots at first,
Mhm.
unless you have done them before or somehow, like, from, like, in a medical profession, but giving yourself an injection, putting together needles, doing the chemistry of, like, mixing the men up here. Give yourself more time than you think you need and be okay calling your clinic. I have
Yeah.
done it. I think Amy has done it.
Oh my god.
Everyone yeah, we've all called our clinic
I called
panicked.
my doctor once because I panicked.
That's right. You, like, text your doctor at, like
It was
wasn't it,
like
like, 9 o'clock on a Saturday or
9:30. I
something?
was at a 40th
She was at a
birthday
party.
party in downtown LA. I couldn't get the
That's right.
full
We told
dose
this story.
out.
Yeah.
Ugh,
That's so
she
funny.
called me back and I answered and I'm like, it's like loud. I'm in a bathroom and it's like clearly I'm at a bar. And she's like, "What's up?" But no, okay. So on if I could piggyback on that, have the phone numbers, like know what your like what is
Yes.
your route to like solve this problem? Hopefully you're a baller at giving yourself shots or injections and everything works fine. But like just have it on like, on the paper that has your prescription on it. Just like write, okay, who am I calling when this gets
Right, if something
confusing?
goes yes.
Yeah.
And they're really responsive, like,
Yeah.
my specifically my
There's always a
well, the
nurse on call.
pharmacy too, like, you can
Oh.
also call at least my pharmacy because it's a specialty pharmacy, and
Mhm.
so there was always a pharmacist on call that if you had a
Cool.
question about your meds or how to administer them that could answer them.
Oh,
Or,
awesome.
like, about dosage, things like that, and so they kind of all work together. But, yeah, having, like, a station set up or an area and giving yourself enough time, like, don't if you need to give your meds to yourself at 8 p.m., like, don't be
Don't start at
coming
8
through the
PM.
door at 7:50 and being like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta mix the meds."
Yeah,
So,
I
just because
definitely
it
did
just
that.
makes it stressful and yeah,
Mhm,
so
mhm. Yeah, I like that one. Get a heating pad. That's just my personal fave.
Amy loves the heating
I
pad.
love a heating pad.
I need to use the one you got, my white elephant gift from your Christmas party is like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the back heating pad I don't know. There's like a
It's like you warm it up, right?
in the
Yeah.
microwave, yeah,
It's like one
which
of
Amy
those,
doesn't
like
have a microwave, she
I
doesn't
don't
believe in them.
know. That's not totally true, but, like, I just don't have one.
Yeah. Well, I have a microwave, so I'm
It's a
gonna use it.
conspiracy theory I can't deal with. Okay. What else?
Ask your doctor and your clinic or your nurse practitioner when they are going to call with egg retrieval results because you're going to be all drugged up once it's over. They're going to tell you how many eggs they got, and then you're going to go home and you're going to rest. And then you're going to be on pins and needles waiting to hear how many fertilized, how many made it to blast, so make sure you have the conversation in advance with your medical team of when can I expect you all to call? And do you make those calls in the morning or in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Because that way you're not staring at your phone all day and thinking all of the things of like, oh my gosh, they're not calling because something's wrong. Or it's helpful if they're able to tell you, hey, we make these calls in the morning time and
Yeah.
we do it on day 2,
Yeah.
5, 6, just get all of the information that you can. It'll save you a lot of anxiety.
Mhm. Yeah, and on that front, if you have somebody there at the appointment with you, you can also ask that they talk to them. They don't
Mhm.
always do this, which I learned, like, my first doctor, like, didn't talk to Nima. I was like, "What?" So I
No,
went in
mine
and,
too.
like
Mine yeah.
yeah. Oh, maybe that's why, because I knew from you
I had told
to
you well, because
make
my
sure you
doctor was out
ask.
of town, so that's another thing. Find out who's doing your retrieval. It really isn't a huge deal because they all do them, so they all know, but, like, it was very, jarring to me to find out 2 days before my retrieval that my doctor was going to a conference, and so he was having one of his colleagues do the retrieval, and that
Mhm.
I was not cool with that. Like, I really wanted my doctor to be doing the retrieval.
Yeah.
So just communicate, communicate, communicate. There are no bad questions. There are
Yeah.
never too many questions. If you ever feel like you are asking too many questions, that's a red flag because you
Mhm.
are paying to have IVF done. It is a very stressful process.
Yeah.
Your team can answer your questions for you.
Yep. And on the questions front, write them down. Put
Yes.
them in your phone, take a little Post-it note, write down the questions that you want to ask and refer to that in your appointment because you will forget the questions you have. And then you'll leave the appointment or the doctor will leave and then you'll be like, "Wait, I didn't ask. I didn't ask." And then it'll take forever to get them back on the phone and that'll stress you out. So, write them down.
Write them down. What you're saying, this is silly, but I just thought about this. If you
Silly's
get
great.
if you get anxiety with talking with doctors and advocating for yourself, maybe like role play in advance, like with your partner of like
Oh,
them like
yeah.
leaving the room and you being like, "Oh, excuse me, I still have questions," or like do whatever you need to do to prepare and feel comfortable because I mean, I don't do you get anxiety with doctors? I don't feel like I do anymore.
I don't feel like I do, but I did. Early
Yeah.
on, I did, and I would, like, feel like I would have a hard time asking follow-up questions or pushing back on something. I just kind of sort of felt like this was happening to me
Mm,
unless like, I was sort of out of my body, but
yeah.
I still like, even now, like, I'll forget that I had a question or, especially with the new doctor where you don't have that rapport or that relationship yet, like, you're kind of feeling them out, and I think now
Yeah.
I know most of my doctors and, like, we're very, like, even personal now with each other, so not so much now, but on that front, you can usually bring someone with you, and that's not always possible or feasible
Yes.
for a lot of us, especially like your appointments are literally like the middle of the morning and
Mhm.
people have lives and jobs and kids and stuff. But for the big ones, that might be a good pro tip if you do
Mm,
feel like that's kind of hard for you or you're going into like, a results kind of meeting or a protocol conversation, like having somebody else on the call. And then I remember early on, I asked Nima to like be, what did I say? It was more like it was during all the surgeries, again, my trauma, um, where I asked Nima specifically to be my advocate and be sort of the challenger.
mhm.
So I gave him that role because I was like, I'm not sure I know when I can or can't do that. And like, I'm not seeing this super clearly. I'm like way too emotional for it, or it's like way too close to home.
Mhm.
So, like, can
Yep.
you act as that?
Ah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Mhm.
helpful. And he did. You can tap someone for that role too. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think it's probably also worth noting, like, you can also ask your nurse practitioner, "Hey, can I send you a list of follow-up questions after the appointment?" Like, if you feel more comfortable
Hmm.
communicating via email and you want that paper trail too of, like, here are the answers to your questions, like, you can also usually they're doing monitoring in the morning, so you go in for your appointment, you'll have your appointment, and then just after the appointment, send your list of questions, and they'll usually get back to you in the afternoon when they're contacting all of the patients to let them know, like, okay, based on your blood results or based on this appointment today, here are next
Yeah.
steps.
Hmm. Yeah. What else on the IVF front? If you're going to start IVF this year, I think if you know you're going to do IVF, or yeah, if you know you're going to do IVF at least, start prepping now. It doesn't hurt, right?
Mm,
Like, you can ask your doctor for some blood work, test your levels, figure out do you have a vitamin D deficiency? Do that in advance. Like, if you have the luxury of time,
yeah.
before you get started, pretty much what we're hearing from all the doctors we've talked to, our own doctors, the prep time is actually really valuable. 3 months
Mhm,
ahead for both you and your partner or whoever, hopefully, wherever you're getting the sperm from is also doing that, right? Like antioxidants, eat well, cut out
mhm.
nicotine, cut out marijuana.
Anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, like anti-inflammatory, start sleeping better,
Get
like
sleep.
get
Yeah.
yourself give yourself, like,
Yes.
a leg up, Not everybody has not everybody has the luxury of actually prepping for IVF, but if you do, take it. It can only help.
Also, track your cycles, like, make sure
Mm,
you know how long your cycles are, and you probably already know this if you are going into IVF. I'm assuming you would probably already very much know when when you're ovulating or
yeah.
not ovulating but it can be helpful going into because IVF often follows your cycle or like that
Yeah,
will
they'll wanna
determine when you
know.
start birth control. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
when are you expecting to get your period? When is this just being informed of your body, and if you're starting from scratch or square one where you don't know anything, you can ask your doctor, "What tests can we do right now to
Mhm.
inform us?" So, I mean, ask questions. Yeah.
And I wanna be careful with this because I do think that it's important to trust your doctor and know that the protocol that they come up with for you is what they think is best and going to be most successful. But if you do have a question about anything, like, for example, if you have a needle phobia or if
Mhm.
you have had a really hard time with oral birth control historically, you can ask those questions of, hey, is there an alternative for this? Is there,
Yeah.
we have a doctor in LA where they're now doing needle free IVF. And
Mhm.
so that might not be something that's presented to you, but it might be something that is an option if you just speak up and say, "Hey, is there a different form of estrogen that I could go on, or is there a different way
Yeah.
that we could
Oh, for
administer
sure.
this medication?" Yeah.
Yeah. I did the
Mhm.
estrogen specifically. Yeah. You do have
Yeah.
lots of options on that front. Like even progesterone, right? You have options there.
Mhm.
That's a great call out, just even asking, the question. I love that one.
And then the last thing I was gonna say is, take pictures, like, take selfies and write things down, take videos. I mean, it seems silly, but this is a really monumental thing that you're doing. It's a hard thing that you're doing. It is hopefully going to lead you to the family that you have been wanting, and having some sort of documentation, whether it be in the form of just like little notes and journal entries from how the day went to even just taking like a silly selfie in the car or in the mirror, or it doesn't have to be for anyone else or for social media or anything like that, but just having something to document like you in this moment of time, just as like a way to mark what you're going through because it's a huge deal, you
I
know?
love that. Yeah. It matters.
Mhm.
Some people may want to forget that it happened too, and that's
Yeah, and that's okay.
totally okay. But also, I like the sentiment of that because, like, you are doing something really hard and you're doing something really big, and, like, that sort of I don't know, it, like, marks it down in history. It did happen. You
It
got
did
through it.
happen.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're
And
and
yeah,
you're
even if it's just like a gratitude or,
yeah,
like just writing like today I gave myself 3 injections, like I'm proud of myself. Just
I love that.
something simple. Yeah.
Love that. Trying to think of a last one to just wrap us up with.
Get a dog,
Get a dog.
get a Gwenny.
Yeah, get a Gwenny. Get something to distract you. Yeah, I guess that's a good one of just, like, know what makes you feel good so that you know what you can rely on
Yeah.
in the times where it's hard. The last thing I would say is you're a lot more resilient than you think. So,
Yeah.
if you're starting down this road, no matter where you're starting from, if and when you run into hard times and you need to pivot, you can. And I mean, I've proven that to myself over and over again. You've proven it to yourself. Every person we've talked to is like, you're just like blown away by the fact that they still have a smile on their face. They're still moving forward.
Mhm.
They're still living their life, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. You're more resilient than you think.
You're more resilient than you think, and nothing lasts forever.
Yes. Everything is temporary. That's the best one.
Everything is temporary.
Your shots are
Yeah.
temporary. This time is temporary until the
And
next
that's
pivot.
not to discount, like, it is hard, and it is okay to say, "This is hard, it feels impossible, I hate this." Like, feel all of that, but also know from those of us who are on the other side, like, it is temporary and it won't
Yeah.
last forever.
Yeah. This season will change.
Mhm.
You can always pivot. I like
You can
that.
always pivot, pivot. I don't know the song. I don't know how he says it.
It's not a song. Oh my god, wait. Katie,
I know
okay.
it's not a song, but like he's like a sing-songy, like
Yeah. Okay, well, I love this. I'm sure once we
love
get off
this.
this call, we will have 10 more things. So,
Of
we'll
course,
add
always.
those to maybe we'll do some, like, social clips of
Well,
we should
and
be like, "Oh, I just thought of another one," you know?
listeners have been starting to comment more on Spot like, I don't know if everyone
I
knows this, but you
noticed.
can actually comment on Spotify episodes, and so, if you have additions, put them in the comments because
Yeah.
everyone can see them then, and we like to read them too.
Yeah, I love reading them. Okay, this is fun.
Okay.
You know what I think especially, like, if either of us start an IVF cycle this year, which both of us are,
Mhm.
like, on the fence, we should revisit this,
Yes.
because it's gonna be
Yeah.
real close. I think in
It's gonna
hindsight,
be
you're like I think of, like,
Oh, totally.
in hindsight, I think of, like, the big things, the big existential, like, heart
Yeah.
things that, like, were hard for my soul, but there's
Mm.
probably so many, like, small lightning round ones, like ice packs for your shots or,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I just yeah.
Or just, like, the mentality of I remember when I was doing Clomid and then also when I was on IVF meds, telling myself to just go to bed. Like, there were some nights where no, there were some nights where
Yeah.
it was just like it was like 6 o'clock, and I was like, "Go to bed." Like, literally just go get under the covers and go to sleep because this like, I cannot do this anymore, and I am a terror to everyone that I am around right now. So, like, just go to sleep.
It's so true. Yeah. It's like something is, like, taken over your brain.
Your body,
Yeah, and your
yes,
body. Yeah. You have, like,
it's
a
awful.
parasite or, like yeah,
The
like
bloating, the
inception.
soreness, the just like
Go
yeah,
on a walk. That's another hot tip, pro tip.
go
Lightning
on a
round
walk.
one. Go on a walk. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's kinda like the only thing
Always.
you can do in the end of your like, at the tail end of an IVF journey, but in general, when you're feeling like crap, go outside.
If you have a choice, which you don't, because do any of us have a choice with infertility and IVF? But do it, when the weather is do it not during daylight
The sad
savings, like,
during the sad times.
don't do IVF during sad times. Do it when there's sun, when the sun is out, but
Yeah.
not in the middle of summer because you wanna, like,
You
have
want me
summer fun.
summer fun,
Do it,
yeah.
like, spring or fall,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true, because, like, getting up and going to the clinic when it's dark and then
or
not having
doing
any
IVF over the
daylight,
holidays, which you've done.
I have done multiple times,
Way to just,
IVF
like,
and
take the magic
surgeries.
out of the season.
I would not suggest it, don't do that. Again, that goes back to, like, my earlier point of, like, being swept up on the hamster wheel roller coaster and feeling like you're, like, got the momentum and stamina now, you might as well use it. I don't know. Some people at times, I didn't think that was a terrible idea, but in other times, like this last season, I was not
Yeah,
in a place to do it, So
yeah.
it can change for you.
My first retrieval was in October, which I don't recommend because if it doesn't go well, you're going into the holidays,
Yeah.
and that makes it more depressing. But also, if it doesn't go well, you're going into the holidays. So logistically, like, you're kind of at a standstill of doing anything until the next year.
Right, because clinics
Are
shut down for parts
because
of
clinics
the
shut down and
the
it starts
holiday.
getting complicated. My second retrieval was at the end of February, beginning of March, and I highly recommend that because it's starting to get warmer. You're already feeling, like, a little bit, like, lighter and healthier because you've probably done, like, dry January or, there's, like, momentum going into it, and then if you get great news, it's awesome because you're going into spring and summer and you're, like, feeling, like, this anticipatory, like the
Yeah.
world is opening, but if it doesn't go well, it's like spring break, so you're going on holiday anyway because we went that was when we went to Turkey and in
Cool.
Morocco, and so it was like I mean, we got good news, so it worked out well for us, but if we hadn't gotten good news, it would still be like, "Well, we're going to travel for 2 weeks and
Yeah.
go
Well, and
to a beach."
at least then you have, like, the sun. The sun is
And
probably
then
coming
yes,
out, so, like,
yes,
staycation, go to your local happy place, whatever.
mhm.
Uh, that's a good pro tip. Yeah, if you have the choice to
If you
plan
have
your
the choice.
retrieval.
Isn't it so funny? I feel like, with us talking about any future IVF children, like, having the delusion of, like, planning. Like,
Girl,
I
you keep coming back to that. I mean,
it's
I think it's just our
you just
instinct.
you yeah, it is, and I fully embrace it. I think If
Do
you
you?
get to the point where you can be delusional and optimistic again, live it up.
Oh.
Like, lean
Well,
into it.
I am not. I think my instinct is to plan, and then I immediately check it, and I'm like, "That's not a real plan.
Yeah, that's not
That's a good fake plan." Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's a nice
I have
thought.
to and I have to, like, do this to other people. Oh, I maybe that was, like, the last one I would say too, or, like, add in is, like, other people are gonna be really excited for you, and they're gonna have their expectations and hopes and dreams for you that this is all just gonna work. They're gonna have a
Yeah.
timeline in their head. They're gonna ask you things
Mm,
about the timeline. This is most likely all like, almost all the time, it's coming from such a loving, like, hopeful place for you.
yeah.
Remember that when you're feeling really shitty. You could be like, "Stop asking me," like, and people are so, insensitive and whatever, but, like, it's coming from such, like, a loving place, and that's
Mhm.
a hard part is you sort of have to, like, bring people along or don't, educate people along, like, your loved ones and whoever is in your life, or don't, like, that's a choice too, but I
Mhm.
definitely feel like the amount of conversations or amount of conversations I've had where someone has been like, "Oh, so that means you'll have a transfer by now," or like, "Oh, so that means you might be pregnant by Christmas? So that means the baby might be here by February?" Like, I
Right.
just had this chat about surrogacy. Like, well, if this happens and then that happens, that means that you could be pregnant by whatever, and then that means you could have a baby by, and I'm like, in the
Yeah.
perfect world, which I have learned does not exist for me, yes. But
Mhm.
so, that's a real thing. It's not just, like, your own timeline, everyone else's timeline and needing
Mhm.
to, like, bring them along or not. So, I love these, but we should definitely come back to this, like, we'll have more pro tips, and then send your
Yes.
pro tips as well.
Send yours.
Send your advice. Come back for
Come back next
Valentine's
week for
Day,
Valentine's Day.
and we'll see you soon.
All right.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.